Thank you for joining us tonight on NTV's Grow. Congress finally making some forward progress on that farm bill. We'll have the latest. And the beef industry reaching out to a new and skeptical generation. The winter weather really impacting the wheat crop. We'll give you an update on that status. We're going to start here tonight on that farm bill, and many farmers say it is about time. It seems like this vote would never come, considering farmers like Tim Shear started working on it 3 years ago. So why was it so hard to pass a farm bill? The hang-up was with food stamps, which make up a huge expense in the overall package.
Well, obviously the food stamps was a very controversial issue, and I'm sure there's people that are on both sides of that issue thinking that maybe we should have had more or less cuts. When you look at the actual farm program parts of the farm bill, again, there were compromises made, but I think it's something that gives us a structure and the framework that we can move forward and be successful in agriculture and be profitable.
Groups like Farm Bureau say it's not a perfect bill, but a step in the right direction. It slashes $4.5 billion in direct payments, made whether someone farms or not. And some farmers say it was about time to give that up. And here, as far as Nebraska politics, the governor, he did go ahead and say that he supports sales tax and exemptions for ag repair and replacement parts. The bill advanced through first round last week. Governor Heineman also repeated his call for lowering the taxable land value of farmland from 75% to 65%. He says Nebraskans are being overtaxed right now, and he is determined to get tax relief for Nebraskans. And OSHA pledges to clarify their regulations after being called out by Senator Mike Johans. Senator Johans accused the agency of overstepping its bounds. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration says it has been aggressive in preventing grain bin accidents, but Senator Johans said OSHA was ignoring a law that exempts farms with 10 or fewer employees from regulations. OSHA says it's reviewing its actions. Beefing up the beef state. Our ranchers are looking for some big things in the year of 2014. NTV's Grow co-host Steve White has more.
Cattle industry's doing good. We've got some good prices there.
Corn has been king the last few years in Nebraska, but cattle will be Lyle Neunenkamp's moneymaker in 2014.
We get out of this drought and our grass gets going a little better. I think everybody's in the mode to want to increase numbers. And
herds were decimated by drought that began in 2012. Pasture land dried up and many cattlemen sold off big numbers. The situation has improved, but remains a concern.
Some careful management is definitely going to be required.
At this cow-calf college near Clay Center, University of Nebraska experts encouraged producers to forage cattle on corn stalks. That works well, especially for small, diversified farms, not so much for the big Sandhills ranchers.
The cow-calf business is going to be highly profitable for the next few years. Well, if we want to grow that industry, we've got to have more forage. And we're going to have trouble making more grass. You just can't make more grass out of the sandhills.
From Lyle's farm in Sutton to John Hansen in Lexington, they're closely watching their expenses on corn, but these farmers are glad to be making money from their cattle.
it should be that way for the next 2 or 3 years, hopefully, and we'll see what happens after that.
Cattle breeds like Simmental, Limousine, and Charolais, they're commonplace here in Nebraska, but it hasn't always been that way. Thanks to the work of the Meat Animal Research Center near Clay Center, we now have a better understanding of more breeds and develop traits best suited for beef production.
And those cattle came over here in the late 60s. We had no idea how good they were at the time. Just an evaluation, objective evaluation of what they could provide really has helped producers and drive the use of those cattle in Nebraska and the United States.
The Research Center is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And when it comes to those feedlots, there are workshops available here throughout the state. The University of Nebraska Extension is hosting roundtable forums for cattle feeders. There's an event scheduled for February 12th at the Holiday Inn Express in Lexington. And when it comes to news in the beef industry, 2 brothers attempted to steal beef from a slaughterhouse down in Kansas. Truckloads of beef. The California men both pled guilty to theft charges. The brothers were charged with trying to steal nearly $88,000 worth of packaged beef from Tyson Fresh Meats in Holcomb, Kansas. They posed as freight haulers. And now an update on a deadly hog disease that's causing a few concerns. Porcine epidemic diarrhea virus, known as PEDV, has been found found in about 300 hog barns around Minnesota and could lead to higher pork prices at the grocery store. The number of cases in Minnesota jumped by almost 2/3 in the past month. With no proven vaccine on the market, farmers are concentrating on keeping the virus out of their barns. Temperatures fall and the price of propane goes up. The price is actually 2 or even 3 times higher than it was even just a few weeks ago, and many farmers could be paying more just to heat their homes and their barns. Here's more.
Hey Hannah, it's Gary. Do you know what propane prices are doing this morning?
Gary Brandt checks prices over coffee. The cost of propane is about enough to give someone sticker shock.
Prices were around $1.50 to $1.75 a couple weeks ago. Now our price on propane here at Geneva, Nebraska, for example, is about $4.75. You've got $3 increase in about 10 days.
Gary Brandt says some of the reason is the additional propane needed to dry corn during a wetter than expected harvest. But that may be a small factor compared to pipeline problems and the cold.
Then it's been incredibly cold in the north, Minnesota, Wisconsin, so they've been using propane like crazy.
Several states have declared emergencies with town hall meetings like this one in Wisconsin.
You hear it every day. There are people that are down to 5%, 10%, and with this cold weather coming up, they're going to be out.
At CPI, the co-op has propane on hand to fulfill contracts, and it's a good thing they do.
We're actually selling propane right now for about $1 less than it costs us to go get it. So we're using a blend of our inventories plus our contracts to take it as easy as possible on our customers, because everybody has to have a warm house.
But as much as possible, they're asking people to conserve.
We're encouraging everybody to skate by using as little as they can, because we don't really want to sell this expensive propane. We want to wait until the price drops, then we can fill everybody's tank back up.
This weather we've had here this winter is even impacting the wheat crop. Snow cover helps protect the crop through the cold months. Otherwise, exposed wheat crops are more likely to be damaged by harsh conditions. The wheat lays dormant through the winter, so the extent of any winter kill won't be known until spring.
It's pretty hard to tell. Until it comes out of dormancy in the spring, then you'll see patches. There'll be areas that will remain brown, and that could be winter kill.
The USDA says Nebraska farmers planted 1.5 million acres of wheat for harvest this year. Well, you may see some changes in the grocery store. Those food labels that you might look at, they might be getting a bit of a facelift after 20 years. Well, you may see some changes in the grocery store. Those food labels that you might look at, they might be getting a bit of a facelift after 20 years. Knowledge about nutrition has evolved, and the Food and Drug Administration says the label needs to reflect that. Nutritionists and other health experts have their own wish list for the label changes. For instance, number of calories should be more prominent, they say, and the amount of added sugar and percentage of whole wheat in the food should be included. They also want more clarity on serving sizes. Even with the frigid temperatures that we've seen, one family in Ord actually is able to produce lettuce that ends up on a lot of our plates. Here's NTV's Zach Ritchie with this story.
For the David family in Ord, harvest comes every week. Oak Ridge Farms Hydroponics grows Bibb lettuce in a temperature-controlled greenhouse year-round. A product that usually comes from the coast now can be found locally.
It gives you a sense of pride that you can produce something that normally comes from maybe 2,000 miles away.
The Davids started the greenhouse as a way to return to their roots on the farm. Injury forced Barb to give up sheep herding, so she replaced little lambs with a whole lot of green.
It's a beautiful crop, and it tastes good.
Oak Ridge Farms houses about 9,500 plants at any given time. They start with a seed, transplant it, and then watch it grow. Within 6 to 8 weeks, the crop's ready, much faster than planting it in the ground.
It's different because you have no soil, but you still have a medium that you're using, and water is allowed to flow past the roots at all times.
After building the greenhouse in April and having their first plants in August, the Bibb lettuce of Oak Ridge Farms has sprouted all across the state.
Seems like every week we pick up a new customer.
Orders come in from the 3 Tri-City hospitals to many grocery stores and schools as far away as Lincoln.
You have to get out there and market because it's ready. It needs to go somewhere.
No matter what it looks like outside, you bet it feels nice inside at Oak Ridge Farms. 2,000 heads of green a week leave these comforts for a plate near you.
You can buy the Bibb lettuce at Bogart's in Kearney, Hy-Vee in Grand Island, and both grocery stores in Ord. And you'll want to mark your calendar for the Governor's Ag Conference. That's going to be held in Kearney at the Eunice Conference Center. It starts February 12th. This is the 25th year for the event, and it will feature new research, future of livestock, weather predictions, and more. The current status of the activity in Washington as well. The theme is a platform for Nebraska's agriculture future. We'll find out more about how the beef industry is trying to really capitalize on the next generation. It includes the Instagram generation, you could call it. And speaking of Instagram and pictures, we asked for selfies from the farm. Selfies of with you, with your livestock and equipment. And we have some wonderful pictures we're going to show you throughout the show. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.